Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris. Thanks for stopping by and watching my review for M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Knock at the Cabin. I knocked out a cabin once, but all I found was this cat. Meow, meow. We saw Knock at the Cabin. She thought it was pretty good. Okay, so let's get into this film. I just got out a few hours ago and I've just been rattling in my brain kind of all my thoughts about the film, but I really enjoyed it. I think it says best movie since Signs, which I know is high praise. That's my favorite M. Night movie is Signs. Sixth Sense is good, but I think once you know the conceit of the movie, it kind of ruins the movie for rewatching. It's fun to watch with other people who haven't seen the movie, but I think Signs is my favorite. I'm really into aliens, and so I love the aesthetic of that movie. I love all the acting in. Joaquin Phoenix is great in that movie. There's a lot of good actors in that movie, and I like that movie a lot. But let's get on to the movie at hand. So this follows a group of 4 people who show up to a cabin to find a couple and their daughter, and they basically tell them that they need to sacrifice one of them or the end of the world will be upon us. Okay, so now if you were there in this cabin and these 4 lunatics came to you and asked you to sacrifice one of your family, what would you do? Exactly. This is the question that I have been contemplating since then. You know, it's riddled my brain. I've just been thinking, if I was in this situation, what would I do? Would I sacrifice somebody in my family for them or the people that were with me? Or would I want to self-survive and keep us all alive? That is the question here, and that's what the film is trying to answer and trying to show you, that if these 4 horsemen, that's kind of how I took them. They're basically the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They're each like, you know, a divided part of humanity as we find out. And so like overall, like that's what's interesting about this movie, is that we are following these characters as they are telling these 3 people some crazy shit. They're like, look, these plagues gonna happen. Then the earth is gonna, like, God's fingers are gonna come out in fire. And they're telling about all these visions that they've had. And Jonathan Groff and his husband are just like, what? We just want to keep our daughter and us alive. So you can continue to say whatever you want, but we don't believe you. And so there's a struggle here between your 4 characters who knocked at the cabin and came in and told them, they're like, hey, we are going to ask you to make a choice. And the choice is sacrifice one of yourself or humanity dies. And so they're trying to convince them throughout the film of this. You're trying to convince them that this is real and that this is actually happening. And so they go along, and like I said, we're not going to spoil anything here, but basically the premise is that each one of them will have to die and a plague will be released on the earth if they don't make this choice. So that's kind of your full premise right there. That's what's happening, and that's what's, again, interesting about the film, is that you're struggling. You don't know which side even you're on in the middle of the movie. It kind of got to a point where it's like, maybe they're right. They're showing me enough evidence that they're right. But then again, the human part of me is like, but would I do that? Would I really kill another person here because humanity might die? We don't have a concrete 100% sheet that's like, this is happening, this is happening. We don't have any of that. Now they do lay that out throughout the film, but in the first beginning moments of them being asked this question, they don't have any answers. They're just being questioned and they're just showing stuff. So it's one of those things that is very nebulous and very weird, and in the moment, you know, you can tell the anger and the conflict they have for these people because they're being very nice to them and they're telling them like, we can't kill you, but you still have to make this choice. And so like they're committed, but they also are strangers, which again is another facet to this movie, is that they don't know each other. They met and they just kind of all had this similar vision, and so they came together to this random cabin to these people to make this sacrifice. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this movie. I really enjoyed it overall. Again, I think the acting is great. I just want to call out a few people that I think were standouts in this film. Rupert Grint is great in this film. I haven't seen him in a long time in a movie, and so it was nice to see him back. Dave Bautista is great. I mean, I'm not going to say he's like a world, he's no, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, but he is getting better, and this was probably his first foray into like a huge dialogue heavy film, and he probably has the most dialogue in the whole movie, and he delivers it very well. I like his character a lot. He's really well written, and he acts the hell out of this movie, so he's great. And then Jonathan Groff is great as always. He's really good at like his emotional scenes and his comedy, and so I really like him as well. There's a lot of good actors in this movie. Everybody else is great, but those are my standouts for the film. So that's all I've got. I want to know, are you going to see this movie this weekend? Do you like M. Night's movies? What's your favorite M. Night movie? Mine is Signs, like I previously said. So let me know all that down below. I'm going to link some videos for you now so you can continue your journey on the channel. I'm going to link my last horror review, which I did, was Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool. Weird movie, but I think you should check that review out and the film. And then I'm going to link my new series, which is my A24 horror journey, where I'm going to be watching all the A24 horror movies across this year. And the first one I did was The Witch. So check that out, and I'll talk to you guys later.